you are focused on zero waste.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what those firms... Did those firms come with a zero waste idea?
Yeah, I think it was more of a chicken and egg, because the thesis of our company is underutilized capacity, right,
Yep.
and excess assets. So you think about the sharing economy and all the things that we don't use very well, but if we shared them, we'd actually use better. So the thought here is to maximize and monetize what we already have, rather than
Yep.
creating more, do better with less by applying technology. And so if you look at that, everyone had cars, yes, and yet nobody really was sharing them. They were sitting, right, for the most part in their lots. And so this was enabling, the technology enabled people to get back to work, to use what we call space, because we think of assets as space, time, possessions. eBay was one of the first, right? And then now you layer that with trust, and you layer that with instant gratification, which is where we're all headed. You know, we have a philosophy in the United States, which I believe is somewhat creeping into Europe as well, which is the magic wand, and that's your phone. So the philosophy, the mentality is such: if you cannot do it with your phone, you cannot do it.
Because it doesn't work.
Because if you cannot activate something on your phone, you cannot activate it, and forget about it. So it's getting a car, it's getting dry cleaning, it's finding a dog walker, it's ordering food, it's finding a photographer. It is, and that's...
How did we ever live without them?
I had no idea.
You didn't have mobile phones that
You didn't have mobile phones. So you talk about a smartphone, but you talk about people who really have, we all have so much that it is almost irresponsible for us not to use what we have more.
But Jillian, what you worked at, I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of propositions that would fit into that criteria, right? That is economy sharing, that's doing what we have, just doing it better, more efficiently. So what makes you, pick those companies that are now huge and very successful? Is it management? Is it execution?
Yes. Well, you know what? There's definitely a criteria here, all right? The first one is is fascinating. The first thing we think of when we look at a company is automatically we go around the table and we say, do we have automatically in our head 1,000 users that we know, right off the top of the bat? Do we know that? What is the barrier of entry? Who else can get into the market fast on this, or can they at all? Is the technology proprietary? Yes? So we have those type of criteria. Can this scale fast? Can it scale globally? That's key. For the US, that's key. Europe is somewhat behind in terms of the criteria, in terms of the ability to activate fast, to fund fast, and to scale fast. And that's a problem. And that's one of the key differentiators. Zero waste is a mentality. It's also, if you go to Davos, you talk about doing well and doing good. Yes? Investing in zero waste is doing well and doing good. We have a social responsibility, as a population is booming, to do better with what we have.
Regulators seem to be a bit of a problem.
Absolutely.
How much of an impediment are they? How much will they get in line? Will they not get in line? Because they're beginning to push back and push back pretty hard, particularly over here.
Yes, it is. It is. But you see, I think it's the other way around. I think that technology and innovation actually will create a new type of regulation. It will break the laws, which it has in the past. Where there is demand, yes. Where there is innovation, comes certain types of restructuring and revising. It has to be.
So you're saying that regulation will actually change?
Follow. Absolutely.
Follow.
Absolutely.
So adapt. I mean, they're looking at, certain regulation now.
Has to be.
But it may not be the right regulation, and therefore your investments may be at risk. How much do you look into that?
We look at it, absolutely, that's one of the key criteria. However, we look at, let's say, we have a company called 99 Gamers, right? It will scale up here. It is basically a virtual coin, and it allows gamers to share video games peer-to-peer. No waste, zero waste, peer-to-peer. Instead of buying more and more and more, it allows everybody to buy and rent and buy and sell together. What we can't do is, because of regulations, they would not allowed to be able to take a transaction fee, because you're not allowed to do this sell. Yes? Instead, they created a virtual coin to get around it. So it's the coin that people buy when they get on the site, yes, and it's also will have a mobile app soon, and that enables them to get to circumvent the regulation. So my grandfather used to say, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep. Trust is quite an important part of regulation. Regulation is there to generate trust. How do you generate trust when you're trying to get around regulation? The two things, it's a circle, but you've got to figure out which side of it you're on.
Well, I think the trust is also part of the demand, too, yes? I mean, trust is a key component and a key driver in all of this. It started out with eBay. Yes, eBay created this trust, right? Now we have the trust with Uber. You get into some stranger's car, their personal car, good luck with that. But we do, yes? And now we're actually going to the point where we're trusting founders and we're trusting each other more, and the government has to follow. The government has to give us credit and support the trust that we've created in order to activate our economy. And that's really what it is. It's putting people back to work in many ways by enabling technology, right? By activating technology, applying technology to help people gain more assets, more wealth.
Utility of their lives.
That's it. Utility with their lives. That's really well said. And it's very, it's wrong for any government to hold back. We have right here in Europe, if you talk about the funding models between Europe and startups, let's say we talk about, right, entrepreneurialism here.
Yep.
The government provides, it's sort of a barbell. We look at it as a barbell. We have the funding model here, which is very dysfunctional, all right? You have a beginning, you have the SCIS, NEIS, which provides seed funding, yes?
Yep.
And good on them. The only thing about this government funding is that if you don't do well and your company goes bottom up, right, you get half the money back. Well, that's unheard of in the United States. If you go belly up, goodbye. Good luck with that. But now you have seed funding, and then on the other side of the barbell, you have really great, like Excel and 5 major funders who are going in, right? DFJ and all of those who are going in, and they're creating very big buckets of money after you do very well and you have many users, yes, and huge revenues. What happens between? There's really no B funding. There's no Series Real A. There's no B. And with that funding in the United States, in the Silicon Valley, you also get the tools, marketing, branding. That's what we do. We bake in the branding at the very beginning. So the companies enables the companies to position themselves with strength to get the next money. And then the next money.
Yeah, mentoring when you start up is probably one of the most crucial things.
Absolutely.
Jillian,